What habits and rituals are natural for you, helping you maintain your vitality and be empowered? The pressure for progress and change, the potential for boredom. These are all pressures and questions that this cycle of the Human Design Weather for December 3rd to 8th, 2025 bring. Hello, and welcome to the Human Design Weather or Not podcast with me, Margo Fraser, coming to you from Banff, Alberta today. I was going to try and show you the mountains in the background originally, but it gets dark so early that you can't really see anything anymore. So got the regular background today. But let's move into the weather for this cycle. So we're staying in the collective frequencies this cycle, which are inherently social. So you might have more socializing this cycle, and always have an underlying theme of impersonal sharing, even though we humans like to take things personally. This cycle starts on December 3rd at 12:19 a.m., going until the 8th at 1:22 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Universal Time Coordinates, that's coming in December 3rd at 7:19 a.m., going until the 8th at 8:22 p.m. So remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun Earth activations because that's 70% of the conditioning field. We have the Sun moving into gate 5, the gate of fixed rhythms. It's also called waiting. This is part of the logic circuitry that's about experimenting, repeating, and practice to find the best pattern to carry yourself and humanity into the future. What's the best way? If I do this, I'm going to get this expected result consistently and reliably. This trait is in the sacral center, that motor that generates life force energy and is here to use that energy towards satisfying work. The keynote says the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awakening. Now, waiting does not mean that you're not doing nothing. There's nothing else going on. But for this trait, habits are empowering. They provide a sense of stability for yourself and for others. The waiting that's referred to in the keynote is waiting for the right timing. It's sticking to your fixed habits no matter what. And if something's going to interfere with your fixed habit, you don't engage with it. You stick to your own rhythm. So for those of you that have gate 5 in your own design, this is going to be something that's really important. You stick with your habits no matter what, the ones that you know keep you healthy. If you get up at 7:30 a.m. and start your day with a cup of tea and that really works for you, you stick with that habit no matter what. In the macro sense, this trait contributes to holding all of life together in a universal rhythm. If you have this trait in your design, allowing others or a situation to pull you out of your fixed rhythm could be really destabilizing. You have to pay attention to your life and see what your natural rhythm is and then fix it. That's going to allow your vital energy to be used in a healthy way. For those of us that don't have gate 5 in our designs, this could be a really good time to contemplate, to recognize, to notice if there are certain habits that really support your vitality. Now, they may not be consistent, they may change over time, but there is the opportunity to attune to that. Or you could have people talking to you about, oh, these are the habits you should have. This is what you should stick with. This is the way. You can try it. You can try these patterns out, but you're likely to find that some of them are not going to work very well for you. This is a really interesting Sun-Earth combination because as much as gate 5 is about repeating and fixing the habits, fixing the rhythms, the Earth's positions in gate 35, the gate of change and progress in the throat center, which is about never repeating. It's part of the abstract experiential circuitry that's about going through cycles of experience, reflecting on them to make sense of that experience, gain that wisdom, and share it so that you don't have to start from scratch every time. Its keynote says, by design, progress cannot exist in a vacuum and is dependent on interaction. Progress here is gaining the experience. Experiences tend to be relational. There's some kind of interaction that occurs in the process. And if you don't share your experience, there can't be true progress for humanity as a collective. Even sharing, experiences that didn't go well, there's still things to learn from that. As a throat gate that points to a motor, the solar plexus emotional center, it's a trait of action. There's manifestation of the experience here. It's about actually doing it, going through the experience. Every throat gate has a voice, and here it's I feel. And most often, I feel like a change. This is also the voice of boredom. It represents the completion of an experience. So it can have this been there, done that kind of quality to it. When there's no new experience on the horizon, it becomes the voice of I'm bored. It's very healthy for this trait not to repeat an experience. It's going to bring a pressure to satisfy any yearning that you have for an experience. It's not about expectations and having a goal. It's about the process of cycles and learning through the journey. There's an opportunity here to share your experience and the change it brought. The caution, though, is that if you did or do have expectations around an experience, you might feel a sense of dissatisfaction that a yearning has not been fulfilled in the way that you expected. When we look at the Sun-Earth positions together, this can seem like an unlikely pair, but it's through experiences that you notice patterns. And through experiences, you might find habits that really work for you. Or you may find out that a habit you had needs to shift as it's not serving you anymore. All right, let's look at our channel themes now. A reminder that when the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their chart is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. So there's a big impact that way. We do have one channel that's here for the full cycle because the Earth's electromagnetic, gate 36 in the emotional center, the solar plexus center, is being activated by Saturn. So for this full cycle, we have the 3536 Channel of Transitoriness, a design of a jack of all trades. It's going to be a strong channel activation with that Earth being part of it. The rule of thumb for this channel is to never repeat an experience, but to move from one experience to another, hence the transitoriness. We have the emotional center connecting to the throat center. And that emotional center is a motor and an awareness center, our emotional awareness. This can be a pushy energy as the emotions of the solar plexus have direct access to the throat and will be especially powerful for those of you that have an undefined emotional center, and even more if you have an undefined throat center as well in your own design, since the open centers take in and amplify the frequencies. So surfboards out this cycle to ride those emotional waves for those of you especially that don't have that emotional center defined. It's going to bring the pressure to change something in your life, experiential, to go through a new experience. The crisis of gate 36, it's the gate of crisis, is being a novice at something that you don't have experience in yet. It can bring a sense of inadequacy. So that's something to watch for this cycle in yourself or in others. Just this, I don't know if I'm up to it. I don't have the experience yet. So that could come up. The potential opportunity that this channel brings, if it's correct for you, of course, according to your strategy and authority, is to enter into a new experience or to move through the next step from one phase to another of the experience you're already in. Or perhaps this is the time when you're going to bring something to completion, and then you can articulate the change, the progress, and how you feel. This is a channel where you can share your feelings about your experience. It's a very creative channel. It's the place where you can find all the different ways of experiencing something. How many ways can you use a brick, for example? It's a channel that can be very hot, sexually speaking. Let's try something new. And it's totally impersonal. It's all about the experience. However, as I mentioned, there can't be any expectations about what the experience will bring. And this can really be a challenge to keep the not self mind from creating expectations. Expectations lead to disappointment if the experience doesn't bring whatever the mind expected. This can be the voice, as I mentioned, with that gate 35 of being bored until something new comes along. And the voice can express, I feel like a change. If you enter into an experience out of the pressure and not your strategy and authority, it can bring frustration, anger, disappointment at those unmet expectations, or a sense of feeling stuck. We have 4 channels being created by the transits of the moon this cycle, so they're just little tasters, as the moon only activates a gate or a trait for about 10 or 11 hours, give or take. First one's coming in December 3rd at 8 p.m., going until December 4th at 4:48 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in December 4th at 3 a.m., going until 11:48 a.m. We have the moon moving into gate 20, the trait of the now in the throat center, connecting with Venus position, gate 34, the trait of power in the sacral center. Together, they create the channel of charisma, a design where thoughts must become deeds. We actually had this as our Sun-Earth combination just a couple cycles ago. This is an individual channel that brings the power to take action and to be busy, ideally being self-absorbed in something that you love. However, it's gate 57 in the splenic center, the trait of intuitive insight that gives the awareness to this channel. And we don't have that in the transit field. So if you don't have that gate in your design and you're not using your strategy and authority, you could end up being busy for the sake of being busy and not with something that's actually of value to you. Next, we have on December 5th coming in at 4:08 p.m., going until the 6th at 1:05 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in December 5th at 11:08 p.m., going until the 6th at 8:05 a.m. The moon moving into gate 15, the trait of extremes. This is also the trait of love of humanity. It's in the G center, which is about love, identity, and direction in life. It's connecting with our sun's position, gate 5, that trait of fixed rhythms in the sacral center. Together, they create the channel of rhythm, a design of being in the flow. This is a very magnetic channel and can empower the love of humanity or the hate of humanity. Both polarities can be there. This is about being in your flow, and therefore it can bring this my way or the highway kind of feel to it. If you have this channel in your design, you're at your best when you're in your own flow. For those of us that don't have this channel, it's an opportunity to be in touch with the flow in our lives and the flow of nature. It can be a tricky channel if you have one of the gates and not the other, right? We have the extremes meeting fixed rhythms. So this is one of the channels that in relationship can be quite tricky. Not so bad when it's coming through the transit field here. But you just have to watch here that if you do have gate 5 in your design and not the 15, you may end up getting pulled out of fixed habits that are actually correct for you. All right. Next one coming in December 6th at 1:05 a.m., going until 10:06 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in December 6th at 8:05 a.m., going until 5:06 p.m. We have the moon moving into gate 52, the trait of inaction and keeping still in the root center. That's connecting with Venus position, gate 9, the trait of focus in the sacral center. Together, they create the logical channel of concentration, a design of determination. This is going to bring a pressure to sit still, focus, and concentrate on problem solving and finding or mastering a pattern or a talent. It's actually a great channel to have if you have to sit for an exam, for example. It's a format channel that brings concentration and an intensity to all the other traits in your design. The caution is, though, that if you're unsure of what to concentrate on, it could lead to frustration. Last one coming in December 7th at 1:44 p.m., going until 11:11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in December 7th at 8:44 p.m., going until the 8th at 6:11 a.m. We have the moon moving into gate 56, the trait of stimulation in the throat center, connecting with its electromagnetic gate 11, the trait of ideas in the ajna center being activated by Mars. Together, they create the channel of curiosity, a design of a seeker. This is part of the mental, collective, abstract, experiential process, which is all about making sense of life's experiences and sharing the wisdom. It's going to bring the pressure to share your ideas in stimulating ways, typically through storytelling. You may find yourself looking for feedback as well about what you share, any stories that you do share. Did the other person really get it? That's an important part of this channel. Watch that you're not blurting out things, though, without being invited, or it's likely going to be to the wrong people at the wrong time. And Mars tends to be hasty, so that could make this more challenging. And this Mars energy may also make you think you need to take action on your ideas, when most of the time your ideas are actually for others. That brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the outer planets and the nodes of the moon. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. So your not self mind could start to think that they're part of you, even when it's something that you don't have in your own design. And then when that transit moves on, that can be kind of confusing to the mind. Well, let's start with the nodes of the moon, which are in the gates of doubt and confusion in the head center, bringing the pressure to think logically and abstractly, respectively. The nodes are about what we see in the world and what's in our environment. And this is generally going to bring an environment of people sharing with each other. Doubt comes from seeing patterns and formula that don't seem to be working any longer. And confusion comes when you haven't put the puzzle pieces together in the making sense process. This doubt and confusion can bring good questions and inspires the rest of the mental logic and abstract circuitry, respectively. Ultimately, it can bring the potential to raise consciousness or not. We have these traits in line 3, which has themes of trial and error and bonds made and broken. For gate 63, line 3 is called continuance. We may see people trying to find answers to their questions by refining their questions through the trial and error process. And there can be some frustration in that process. There may be acceptance of answers that aren't correct, or a general pessimism and frustration that questions aren't getting answered with something that's useful. You may get asked some interesting questions, or you may hear some unexpected answers that are actually really valuable. Gate 64 in line 3 is called overextension. This brings an environment where people are waiting for enlightenment, getting that aha. It's an environment where people are bumping into each other and sharing what doesn't make sense, sharing their confusion. Perhaps in that bumping into others, that will help to resolve the confusion. Others may be able to help with that. Again, though, there can also be that line 3 pessimism that the confusion is never going to be resolved by others. And again, there can be some frustration in that. There can be impatience with both of these traits in wanting the doubt and the confusion to just be resolved. And yet, for those with awareness who have noticed that their doubts and confusions usually get resolved with time, there can be a real patience here. For most people in the world, we're going to see the impatience playing out, though. From a human design perspective, of course, the resolution that's coming over time is because the transits are eventually going to bring in the electromagnetic partners in the ajna with the answers and the realizations. The nodes are going to move into line 2 towards the end of this cycle on December 7th. So I'll talk about line 2 in our next cycle. When we look at the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune are in the same gate, same lines as last cycle, but we have a major shift with Pluto. Pluto is going to permanently move out of gate 60 on December 5th at 1:58 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and back into gate 41. Now, Pluto, in its bigger sense, its macrocosmic sense, is about death and new birth. Ra referred to it as the planet that plants the seeds to bring death to the old and birth to the new, while Neptune's the planet that goes in and actually does the deep work. Pluto first moved into gate 60, the trait of limitation in the root center, on March 15th, 2021. And there was some back and forth with retrogrades to go back into gate 61 in the head center. And then in April of 2024, it moved into gate 41 and kind of ping-ponged through retrogrades between gate 60 and 41 until now. Pluto rules our larger cycles, so everyone born with Pluto in the same gate represents that Pluto generation. There's a commonality, a resonance in the personal attribute Pluto carries in your own design as your gateway to your inner truth. So December 5th, we'll have the last babies born that are part of the gate 60 generation. Many of you know that we're going to have a major shift in February of 2027, where there'll be a change in the global cycle. And the background frequency that we've had since 1615 is going to change. Pluto's a big part of that. The 2027 change, well, there's lots to talk about there. So I'm going to offer a webinar on that early in January. And then I'll put together some deeper programs for those who want to delve into that in a greater way. So I wanted to highlight Pluto moving out of gate 60, limitation, and into gate 41, that gate of contraction, decrease, and the pressure to start a new experience through fantasizing about it. Just a brief review of the other long-term transits. Jupiter's in gate 62, the trait of detail in the throat center, with its voice of I think or I don't think. It's part of the mental logic circuitry. It's in line 4 called asceticism, where there'll be this pressure for you to withdraw so that you can get all the details sorted and organized for expression when the right opportunity arises, so that you can explain what you think, backed up by the facts and details. However, it can also bring out this expressing details and facts to try and impress, rather than so that others can really understand. Saturn is in gate 36, the trait of crisis, which we know is in that full channel that we talked about with the Earth's position. So it's the channel theme that's really going to dominate with its cycles of experiences. However, the line 3 aspect of this trait can have you holding on to the old through this change process in a way that might hinder the full progress that could be made. Uranus is in gate 8, Uranus bringing its revolutionary nature, its unusualness. Gate 8 is already unusual because it's part of the individual trait of contribution, so that's going to get amplified. It's sitting in line 5 called Dharma. This is the line of the teacher, where you contribute your wisdom, you express that out, and let others go do what they want with it. Or in the detriment, where there can be this not wanting to let go of what you contribute. So, this trying to control how others are using your contribution, like the parent who can't let go of their child to let them spread their own wings. Neptune sitting in gate 25, the trait of the spirit of the self, of innocence and universal love. It's in line 2 called the existentialist. That's going to bring the pressure to be here now, rather than worrying about what will be or what was. If the ego gets involved, there can be this wanting to be recognized for one's selfless actions, which no longer selfless anymore, right? Collective frequencies are dominant this cycle, with the sun, the earth, the nodes, Jupiter, Saturn, all in collective gates. And Pluto will join as well when it moves into gate 41 on December 5th. Plus, it's a collective channel that we have through this full cycle. So that's going to bring an amplification of the impersonal sharing of patterns and experiences. Remember that for any of these traits, if you don't have them in your own design, it's just pressure from the transit field. You can learn from it, but whether there's something to actually do with it is according to your own strategy and authority. So watch that these frequencies aren't running you. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you want to understand the basics of the body graph at a high level, what's the red and the black about, the different geometric shapes, a bit of background on the system, feel free to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course at margogfraser.com/human-design. All right, so be prepared for an emotional cycle with the solar plexus activation for everyone in the world and the ability to express feelings about your experiences in a unique way and with all the details. Expect to hear that from others as well. It's a cycle where you may really recognize what habits are healthy for you. But if you're not checking in with your own strategy and authority, you can also take on habits that are not correct for you or let go of ones that are. With all the collective activations, there's going to be a stronger pull to socialize with others, especially in the second half of this cycle. With 3 throat activations in the transit field, along with any you may have in your own design, there could be some interesting conversations. Although, don't be surprised if you or others are really getting into the weeds, into the details of the topics, for better or worse. All right, well, have a great cycle, and may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.